Hello guys, welcome back to another video. I hope we're all doing okay. So today we're going to be doing something a bit different. I've got a guest with me today. This is my sister Lucy.
Hi.
So we're going to be talking about something quite close to us that has affected us drastically over the last few months. So I've maybe mentioned it a bit before in one of my videos, but our mum has been very ill over the last few months. She got diagnosed with cancer towards the end of August time. And then I think towards the end of October, she was told she had 3 months or so to live.
And this is like secondary cancer because previously, 3 years ago, she had a very early stage of breast cancer. So this was a secondary relapse.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously that's affected our lives drastically because it all just happened so fast, really, didn't it? Because I think it was a birthday around August the 18th, it would have been. And I went away, I think the 20th of August to the 25th. And then by the time I got back, everything just happened so fast, didn't it?
Well, yeah, you were away when we actually found out that it was because she went into hospital, thinking she went to A&E maybe 3 times. I took her in repeatedly because we just didn't know what to do. She just felt so ill, and the doctor basically said it was kidney stones, a kidney infection, a very serious one. But a kidney infection and then cancer is two completely different, whatever. And I remember I was actually there when the doctor came in, closed the curtains, and went very, very I guess you kind of just knew. You were in, I think you were in Santee.
Yeah. Having a great holiday.
And yeah, we obviously weren't going to say anything whilst you're away because it's going to spoil the time that you had
My
there.
amazing time.
Yeah. But
so I think I just couldn't really believe it, and even at the start it was a lot to take it in. A bit more of a summary, over the last few weeks she has managed to build her strength back up and shown signs of improvement, doing a lot more for herself, which is obviously really, really important for her. She seems to keep improving. But obviously we've not just had our mum's situation. I think it was around the middle of September time. We got a phone call one morning, I think on a Friday, from one of our cousins. I was at work, I think, at the time.
You were at work, and I was literally just about to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And I remember, they actually rang. Well, they tried to ring you because I don't think they had my number, and they rang our mum because who else? How are you going to get hold of us? And our mum was just like, this has happened. And I at the start, I didn't think it was that serious. And then once she explained the situation and we need to go down, I was just like, oh god.
I just think we just couldn't believe it, really, for that to happen, especially when obviously our mum was so ill at that time. You just think how can all this happen at one time in your life? Obviously we're both very young, we're 21 and 19. No one should really have to experience that in their life. But fortunately our dad has since improved drastically. He was in intensive care for I think around 8 weeks, was it, or something, maybe?
A very long time.
And on life support. He actually died twice. His heart stopped twice. The doctors gave him very little hope, really, of survival.
Well, yeah, the day we went in, we were there for a long time. Kind of we were there waiting. And we hadn't seen him, whereas our auntie and one of our cousins had.
Yeah.
We hadn't seen him, and then the first time we saw him, he basically looked dead.
Yeah.
He was connected to every single machine possible.
Really.
And I just completely broke down because I couldn't believe what actually was happening. I think because of the situation at home and then that it was just overwhelming.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't realise how bad sepsis affects someone.
No, I think just seeing him just in that condition, for it all to just happen so fast, was just, you couldn't really believe it. I think I did somewhat understand the severity of the situation when I did get the call. It did sound very bad, because I remember our mum, who was obviously ill at the time, I think she was at home, but she said it's touch and go if he'll make it. So I did understand that obviously this is serious, but probably maybe not that bad, because I feel like you do. The doctors will say that for quite a few situations, maybe when they're not as serious.
And there aren't like different, not strains, but like different types of sepsis, and people can have sepsis, go on antibiotics, stay in hospital, and be basically completely fine. But because his was red flag septic shock, it was literally the worst type, and it literally couldn't have been any worse for him.
Yeah.
And because like the last time, I mean, we don't see him that often, but last time we saw him, he was just himself.
Pretty much himself, yeah. So like with like I've mentioned before in one of my videos, we don't have the closest relationship with our dad, but yeah, obviously seeing him in this state, especially in the situation with our mum, was like very challenging for us to see. So yeah, it was in that moment, it's probably one of the most difficult moments of our life, I'd say, so far. Just like the first night, I'd say, I think was very difficult. And I think I did go to work or something that night, and maybe you did too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did. I did as well, and I remember I told someone at work. I mean, I don't go around telling people, only like someone that I actually trust. I told someone at work, and they were just like, "Why are you here? Like, what are you doing? You should not be here." But I think the things that we do is just like, I guess, as a distraction.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do in that situation? Sit at home and cry?
Exactly.
Or
Obviously,
try your best to
kind of
distract yourself?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's kind of been the way we've gone about things. Like, you can't just sit around and sulk whatever happens. No matter how bad things get, like, they can't really get much worse in a situation like what we've been in.
I don't really think there is
really
a worse
nothing
situation
else could really be thrown at us to make it any more difficult. So I guess you could say that's somewhat of a blessing for us to experience such, I don't know how to actually describe it, but to experience such life-changing events, I guess, at such a young age.
I mean, you have to look at the best in everything.
Yeah.
And I do believe everything happens for a reason. For the reasons that the things that have happened to both of us, still I'm struggling to find the reason for it.
For sure.
But there's a positive in everything in a sense, and we might not know it at this time, but in the future, then maybe we'll be able to figure it out. I don't know.
And I think there's definitely like a lot of lessons we learn from situations like this. What you truly, when you like lose people like on the edge, you like truly kind of understand what's important in life. And
it's definitely like changed my perspective on certain things for sure.
And I think like with our dad, even though we probably didn't think we'd feel the way we would when we saw him, as soon as we got there.
Honestly, like, it sounds awful to say, but like, I didn't. Obviously, I would care. Like, he is my dad, but we don't have a good relationship. I'm not gonna say we do. I thought, like, obviously, it's gonna affect me, but would I be absolutely like distraught? No. But when I was actually there, I was like, I was so upset. I think you remember. Like, I was
I think
upset.
You were even more upset than me.
Yeah, I was literally gutted. And that's probably like the saddest I've ever been in my whole life.
Yeah, it did. In that moment, it did feel like that was probably like the end. I think everyone somewhat like was like, there's no way really back from this. I mean, he's been through a few things, but when you're in this state that he was in, I just don't think anyone really believed, especially the doctors, that he would make a recovery, but somehow he did. I want to ask you a question. So how big of a difference has this made to like your everyday life, like our mum and dad's situation over the last few months? Obviously it started towards the end of August, it's still going on now. But I think especially the time from like September till the middle of December, when like our mum came out of hospital and our dad was starting to show signs of improvement, looked like he was going to completely like come through it. I mean, like in terms of like your work, relationships, like social life and mental and physical health.
Well, I guess we came back. Obviously we went away to Rome, we came back, and that's when we found out like the time frame.
Yeah.
And that's when it like hit me most, because obviously we knew that it was terminal, but we didn't know. Well, I knew it was bad, but I didn't think it was that bad. And you definitely didn't.
No.
I think I had a slight more, like, kind of like a gut feeling, obviously a very bad gut feeling, but a feeling more than you in that sense. But yeah, since then, it has affected me a lot. And I think we're especially, well, wonderful with work. I mean, I only work part-time anyway. But yeah, it's affected it a lot, especially during like Christmas. Like, I'm not going to work during Christmas because it's more than likely, horrible as it is to say, like the last Christmas we will have with our mum. So obviously I'm not going to do that. And then relationship wise, it's been difficult because a lot of people don't understand.
No,
they don't understand, and they'll say they do, but they don't, because unless you've been through it yourself, you have no idea what it feels like at all. You do not. You can say, oh, like, this has happened, that can be similar. And I remember, like, I told, like, one person, they're like, oh, what's happened? Like, has your dog died? I'm like, no, like, obviously that in itself, like, we've been through that anyway.
Yeah, that's nothing.
Yeah, it's like, just... obviously that's a sad thing, but it's really not that deep.
Yeah,
like,
just on a completely different level.
Yeah, and it's just like, you have no idea.
No.
And then I think at the start, like, with like my social life, I didn't really want to like spend time with friends. I didn't feel like it because my like really good friends have been so good. Like, I'm so grateful that I do have them. They've been amazing. But yeah, at the start it was nothing to do with them. It was just me. Like, I was just like, I don't feel like talking. And then, but now, I think like a very important thing is to surround yourself with like a good group of people who genuinely care for you so much. And if they don't, then like you don't waste your time. You don't spend any time with them, because what is the point if they don't care for you? They're not your friend. They're not.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like situations like this you really realise who's like a true friend and who has your best interests at heart, because yeah, you can just see that like actions always speak louder than words.
Yeah.
And like true colours really come out. So I think like as I've mentioned on this channel before, like and on this episode, we don't have the best relationship with our dad. And obviously with our mum going through what it is and the kind of time frames we have with her, and obviously we know in the future that she probably won't be there for us, and to lose someone at such a young age and not really have like another parent figure there for us. So what advice would you give to someone if they're in a similar position to us at like our type of age? Because I'm sure there's people out there.
Yeah, for sure.
That are struggling.
Well, to begin with, I'd feel very sorry for them. I really would, because like obviously we know what it feels like, and it's just such a bad situation. But I mean, we're still going through it, so I wouldn't say I have like the best advice ever. I wouldn't. But what I've learned so far is like, just surround yourself with your closest people, really, I would say. And for me, that is my friends. It is like, and I mean, I've had the same best friend my whole life, and like him coming back from uni and stuff, that's helped me like massively, really. And I mean, even my other best friend, like spending time with their family, just people who really care about you, having like a really good support system, that is the best thing for me. And it is weird for it to basically be my friends, because it is, but we don't have like another
close family, really.
No,
do we don't have any
we
grandparents.
Have each other. I mean,
yeah,
you have been like the best person throughout everything, but yeah, not everyone is that great. Not grateful, what's the word? Don't know the word. Fortunate, that's the word.
Yeah.
Not everyone's that fortunate to have like such a good relationship with their sibling.
Yeah, for sure.
Because like we're literally like the bestest friends. And some people don't have siblings.
Yeah.
So, and we've both said so many times, if we didn't have each other and we were the only child, what would we do? No idea.
Yeah, for sure. But obviously, yeah, I'm sure there may be people out there who don't have a sibling for us, and
so,
it's very difficult to kind of say what to advise for them. I guess it's similar to just for anyone. I think you've always got to remember that life is going to go on regardless of what happens to you.
You've got to remember, some people won't care.
Yeah.
They really won't care. They'll pretend they care. Or, like, and again, like, people have said to me, if you didn't tell me, I would have no idea. No idea what you're going through.
No, they wouldn't,
like,
for sure.
We're the type of people that we don't want the sympathy. We don't at all.
Especially when you've had it so much.
Yeah, we've had it like
everywhere you go.
Yeah, everywhere,
like,
from
how's
everyone.
Your mum? How's your dad?
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just like, yeah, we're very grateful that people care, but does it help us?
No. Not really. Like a couple of my friends, like one of my friends, he said that, like, I don't really ask you about like how your mum is and stuff. I prefer to like speak about the future and like your plans, because I think at the end of the day you've got to be practical and think about yourself and what you want to do for your future, because there is going to be a time when your parents are no longer here, and obviously for us we've been given kind of a time frame, so we have to kind of somewhat prepare for that, and obviously it's only a short amount of time, so you have to like plan ahead, and obviously we have got plans of what we want to do afterwards. So like with my friend, like he's always like mentioning about like what we plan to do afterwards, and like, oh, that'd be like so good for you, it'd be good to like get a fresh start, and just like talking about like stuff like that I think is a lot nicer than him just saying like, oh, like how's your mum, and just saying like, oh, best wishes, and like if you need anything.
I think that's what that's proven to me, like who are my good friends and who aren't, because some people, they go out their way. I've got some really great friends who will go out their way just to distract me, to talk about anything, to do loads of like do whatever, go out and
just take
whatever.
your mind off things a little.
But then there'll be certain people that are just like, how's your mum, how's this, how's that, and it's just like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel very genuine.
No.
And of course there's got to be a balance, like I would like there's got to be a balance, because you want your friends to obviously ask about it, because there's sometimes that you do want to talk about it, but you don't want to talk about it that much, and if we do, we normally talk about it with each other. And it's that's only like I think, unless like some people don't know what to say in this situation, because I wouldn't, if it was the other way round, I wouldn't know what to say, because it's ridiculous. Like it's
just unprecedented.
Like, some people just like, I'm pretty sure some people have told like, are you being serious? Like you actually, like, it sounds like something from like literally from like a film. So
yeah, for sure. Like I think I wouldn't really know exactly what to say for people without siblings in this situation, or like someone close for their family, but I think the main message is life goes on regardless of whatever happens in your life, and you have to remember that everyone in your life is temporary, like somewhat, so you always have to keep like your distance, like somewhat. Remember, they're not going to be here for your whole life, especially like your parents. Like realistically, they're maybe like 20-30 years older than you, so obviously the expectation is like you're going to be around for longer than them, so you have to always remember that, and you have to always somewhat like think about yourself first, put yourself first, especially when it comes to like your mental health. Even in this situation, if it's like affecting your mental health in a negative way, then you should probably try and avoid doing it, and anything that's like benefiting your mental health, like for me, going to the gym every day, that's something that's helped me just try and like somewhat take my mind off and just carry on. It's like a big passion for me. So if you've got something like that you can focus on, maybe it's career or someone like a partner or a relationship, just something you can focus on at the same time, your studies, etc., then I think that would be really helpful and something I would advise. So something else I want to talk about is we did lose our grandma about 3 years ago, which was someone who was very close to us. She was kind of like having a second mum for us, because like we didn't really have the father there, and we spent a lot of time together. So do you think, like, we lost her, like I said, 3 years ago, and she was given, I think, like a time frame that was like terminal cancer. I can't remember how long they said
It was quite.
she
It
had.
was like, it was years.
But
obviously, that's a very short time, obviously, but it was years, wasn't it?
yeah, I mean, to be honest, before she got really ill, I didn't actually know she
No.
had cancer. But
Well, we were
younger
you were
then,
young,
yeah.
that's why.
So
like,
we weren't really told this type
No.
of stuff. But do you think, like, because we lost her in kind of similar situations somewhat, it kind of happened quite quick, and it was around Christmas, I think it was around towards the end of January time. Do you think, like, because we kind of knew it was going to happen, like, they knew they couldn't really do anything, do you think it makes this situation somewhat easier with our mum?
I mean, I think it does in a sense, but the way I see it, before anything actually happens, we won't know the answer to that.
No.
We
No,
won't.
you can't really say, can you?
And I mean, I would do literally anything to have our grandma here right now, because I remember when we first got told about, when the night we came back from Rome and we got told, I was just like, I wish our grandma was here with us, because I just know that she would know what to say. I mean, she would be in bits, but she would know what to say.
Yeah, she would. She always did.
Yeah, and I saw, it's again a weird thing to say, but I saw our grandma as like our dad, because our dad was present but not present. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
And we spent a lot of time with her, and like growing up in like quite like a important stage of our life. It would be, obviously it'd still be awful, but it would help us a lot, I think, if she was still here. That's how I see it. And going through what we did, obviously we have an experience of losing someone, but the thing that I feel like with this is like losing your grandma is absolutely awful. It is, but we then turn to our mum.
Yeah. But
and
now,
when what will happen eventually, well, we don't have anyone to turn to. We don't.
No.
Like, you can say we do, but we don't. We have each other, but we're both going through the same thing. Like, it's not that we have another what's the word? Parental, is that the word?
yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, we're both over the age of 18 now, so by law and stuff, we'd like be expected to like fend for ourselves and stuff, but obviously it's not that easy.
It's not that we can't fend for ourselves.
No.
It's that we, like, yeah, you just want people there, don't you? It's like, it's your family. Like, I just feel like we have gone through so much at such a young age, and we just seem to, like, it always just seems to be us two who do us at the end of the day.
Yeah, it always has been, really. Yeah, for me, I think losing her, I think it does make it like somewhat easier, like going through everything we went through. It does seem, I think, like, yeah, it does seem very familiar. I think it was, our mum actually went into Loros a couple of weeks ago, at like the same time, almost identical time, 3 years ago. Our grandma was there.
In the opposite room.
Yeah, in the opposite room our grandma was to where our mum was staying, which is just like quite freaky, to be honest. And like to think exactly 3 years ago our grandma would have been in there, and now our mum's
like if we thought that 3 years ago, we'd be like, if someone told us that, we'd be like, you're joking, like, no way.
Yeah, you can't really like write stuff like that. But I think, yeah, like it does make you stronger as a person, and someone so close to you. I think, yeah, it does. But I don't think anything can ever prepare you for death, because even though you know it's going to happen, you're just like, yeah, you can't, like, I don't know, it's just different when it actually happens, and you've got to know that, and you probably won't know that. I don't think anyone can actually like say they know that until they've experienced like losing someone close in their lives, because you can like say like, yeah, you know it's going to happen, but you're not like fully prepared. You can't ever be till like you actually see that person just like there and they're completely gone.
But even like I do think like even when like something like that first happens, you're still in disbelief.
For sure, for a good few days.
Yeah, because like when it happened
maybe
with
even
our
longer.
with our grandma, like it takes a lot for it to sink in, and then like with our mum, I think it'll be even harder, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always been us three, so.
Because
yeah.
with our mum, like it's different to our grandma, because obviously she was a lot older. I think she was like 86 or so when she died. She like lived a good life, and yeah. So I think it's mainly like the age thing. Our mum is like 50s or so, and losing at such a young age, really, it feels like it doesn't feel like it's her time to go. So I think that makes it a lot more harder, and just happening so fast. And obviously I think losing your mum compared to your grandma, despite how close we are, it's always a different level.
I think it's probably the worst thing to happen to anyone.
To lose your mum
at a young age.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of bad things, but I think it's one of the worst, especially just knowing. Like I do think like cancer is like the cruelest disease. It really is, because there's just, I mean, obviously there's certain things that you can do with certain cancers, and that's getting better over time. But when you know there's nothing that either of us can do, like
it's really hard to take.
Yeah, it's just like you literally cannot do anything, and like there's like certain things you can do to help the person, but it's not going to make them any better.
And it always like seems to happen to the best people too, at like the wrong times. It's just like it can happen to the healthiest people. Like our mum doesn't drink or smoke or do anything that's really gonna make her health deteriorate significantly, but then you see people like smoking, drinking their whole life, and then they live until like 90. You're just like, how is this fair at the end of the day? Like,
well, yeah, I think it
shouldn't be this way, but
seems to happen to the kindest people, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I mean, part of this, like my feelings when we found out, it's just like frustration, because it's just not fair.
No.
Like it's always the nicest people. Like our mum is literally the kindest person ever, and has been to anyone she's ever met. So I don't see how like she could ever deserve it. But,
no,
I mean, we can't do anything about it.
Yeah, you really realise that life just isn't fair. It doesn't really reward the best people. You see people who do all the bad things their whole life, and then they seem to get away with everything. But yeah, it's really, really difficult to take, I think, in a situation like she's in. So how would you say this like situation with our mum and dad has changed your perspective on what you like most value in life?
Well, I think it's changed it like dramatically, for sure. With everything that's happened, I would say that's a hard question though. It's made me like, what's the word? It's made me realise what is important.
Yeah.
I think I thought as I was growing up, certain things were way more important than what they actually are, and it's made me mature so much. Like for my age, like a lot of people say like you're very mature, but like when you go through we've been through I would say 3 like big events in our life that most people haven't even like gone through anything. So I think that's like made me mature just so much earlier. But yeah, I mean the whole situation, I would say it's changed what I think's important. But I mean that would probably be a good thing that's come from it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it definitely has.
Yeah, because like you really realise that you only have like one like mum and dad, regardless of how well or how bad you get on with them. Like obviously our mum has been special for us for our upbringing, like pretty much done everything for us, brought us up completely.
Yeah, I think I'm sure you do as well, but I see my mum as like my dad as well.
Yeah.
It sounds weird, like it's a bit like
she's done everything.
Like literally she has done everything. She's provided I can't even say it. Provided us with like the best life. She
For
really
sure.
has.
She couldn't have done anything more.
And like we'll both be forever grateful for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
So how important do you think it is to plan ahead in situations like this? Obviously, I've touched on it before, that we do have plans in place to do whatever in the future. So yeah, how important do you think it is to kind of have like some plan? Maybe it's short, long term, but just kind of have an idea of when the inevitable does happen for someone in a similar situation to us.
I think it's hard because you don't want to just be like, okay, well, this is going to happen, so I need to think about myself and think about what I'm going to do. Because we're not those type of people. Like, it would be awful to just look at a situation like that. But at the same time, you do have to think about yourself.
Yeah.
And in this situation, it's very important for us to be selfish and not think of other people. Obviously, we do think about our mum. Obviously, that's like, don't need to explain that. But other than that, what we're going through, I'd say we need to think about ourselves. So about the future, I mean, you can't just pretend like it's never going to happen. What is going to happen?
Exactly, yeah.
You've got to... Yeah, I think it is very important to plan ahead. As bad as it is, and it's hard to talk about with certain people. I mean, we can talk about it because we're going to be doing it together, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's our lives. We're the two people who will be most affected by what's going to happen. We will be.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it is very, very important. I think it's difficult, and especially to talk about with like our mum, it is hard because like it's like, okay, well, we've got to think about when you're not going to be with us anymore.
It's not nice to talk about.
No, it's awful
when
to
someone's
talk about.
Still around.
But yeah, you have got to think about yourself, because if you just leave it, then when it does happen, you're going to be like, well, what the hell do I do now? It's just, I guess it's a bit of like preparation in a sense, because you can, as you said earlier, you're never going to be prepared for what is going to happen.
No.
But it will help you. Maybe even if it helps you in the slightest, it will help a bit.
Yeah.
Even if it's like like a really short-term plan, it will help you.
Yeah, and then you can probably build off that anyway. Like, I think anything in life, you've got to kind of plan ahead, because you never know what's going to happen.
No.
Like, with like relationships, with work, say if you lose your job, you got to kind of have something to fall back on in case, because life there's always obstacles, always stuff that comes when you least expect it as well. So you kind of got to be ready for that. And obviously when it's a situation when you know something is going to happen in the not too distant future, I think you just want to, like, your life's already so difficult, you want to make your life like a little bit easier and have like a plan ahead. Like,
and as bad as it does sound, it might help you get through it.
I think
like having
does.
Something it's not the right sense, because it's not, but to maybe work towards, or the word look forward to, like, that's not what it is at all. But like just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not that, but it's something to, I guess, just help you through it. It is. It's something, even if it's the smallest thing that might help you. If it helps you through something like this, it could really just like change how you feel every day. It could. I don't know.
Because when you like lose someone so close like your mum or dad, it's going to be a completely different chapter in your life. So your life is just going to change so much. So I think you want to have some sort of plan in place of what you want to do. Maybe it does sound bad, but you will have like the most freedom in your life that you've ever had to kind of like do anything. You could go anywhere in the world.
Well, essentially, especially for us two, who is going to stop us from doing anything? Who?
Yeah. Obviously, you should always do what you want to do in life, but when it comes to family, you always feel somewhat restricted because you want to be there for them, especially as your parents get older, needs more support and stuff. But I guess if you don't have that, then you've got no one really. Like, that's why we could plan to like travel the world and stuff, because realistically, we don't really have anyone here that we need to be around for at the end of the day. So yeah, I think that's, yeah, you need to kind of have some sort of plan in place if you're going through a situation like this.
Even if it's a short-term plan, like even if it's something that when it happens, you obviously have a period where like you're not going to want to do anything and you're going to be like grieving, but maybe after that, even if it was the smallest thing, like just getting away from like where you're staying, like say like you've been just at home the whole time, even if it's just getting away for a week, like a weekend, to just be in a different environment, I think that would help massively.
For sure. So how would you say you've found it? How difficult would you say you found it when it becomes talking to like feelings with people, maybe like your friends and family? Do you think we've obviously like covered like speaking to people and stuff, but do you find it like easy to talk to people, or is there certain people that you find it easier somewhat to talk to?
Like I said earlier, I do have some really like good close friends, like the bestest friends, and with them, I would tell them anything, and like especially one of them, like I told them like straight away, and it's not something like you would tell them straight, like people straight away, I don't think. But like I just turn to him for like anything. I just do because I trust him like with my life.
That's good.
And then yeah, there's other people that I've spoken to it about, but I have been very, I guess, particular, is that the right word?
Yeah.
With who I've told. I haven't told many people because I'm not going to tell people unless they genuinely care about me, and that's like the main advice I give to people. Only tell people that you know really do care, because people, as bad as it sounds, people will just like to find out information and gossip. They will. It's something to talk about, and people, I mean, a lot of people just have sad lives, don't they? And they have nothing better to do than talk about other people, even though it's an awful situation. But I genuinely think people, and I mean, I think certain people know that we both don't want to know about it.
Yeah, for sure. Like stuff gets spread
Yeah.
far too easily, and like situations like this are very personal.
Yeah.
You don't need everyone to know. Obviously, everyone does have different ways of kind of handling it. Like a lot of people, some people, I think, like it might sound quite bad, but they kind of like the publicity and attention. They broadcast it all over social media. I mean, like if that works for them and it makes them feel better, then fine. But for us, I think we're both very similar. We only really want to talk to like our close friends, and I think for me that's been like the best people to talk to.
No, it has.
Like family, that's a bit different. I think they kind of all, because they're obviously related to our mum, they see it a lot more from her perspective than ours, so they kind of like thinking about her and maybe not as much how we feel, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, on that question, I mean, I've only told my closest friends, and they have all been really, really good. So good. And I find it hard to talk about my feelings anyway. On any situation I do find it really hard. So talking about it, I mean, there's been times where, obviously I have been upset. Like, it is a hard thing. Especially, like, to say, like, just to say the words, like, my mum has been given 3 months to live. Like, that is, like, the first time I told someone, like, I just cried because it's hard. Like, it is really hard. Like, the more you say it, the more real it gets. But, yeah, it is a difficult situation to talk about. But if you're talking to the right people, it's worth it. It's worth it for sure, because they can help you out so much.
Obviously, it's like some people maybe find it easier to talk to like professionals and stuff, and maybe that's a good idea. Some people said that we should go to therapy, talk to professional people, but I don't know. I think everyone, just like I say, has a different way of handling it, and like their reactions are all unique, I guess, when it comes to like friends, family, people that don't know you personally.
I think if we've got anything to talk about that we really don't even want to talk about to our friends, which I don't think either of us would, we would talk about it with each other.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't need to pay someone who doesn't really care about me.
No.
Well, they don't care. They want the money. So
exactly. And
I'm not gonna tell them.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you. So like I don't.
And someone like, yeah, when they know you personally, they're gonna like, they have a lot better insight into you and how you kind of handle things and deal with situations and know you personally. And yeah, they're probably just, I think they can just talk to you a lot better because they know you on a personal level. Like this person's like, yeah, coming an outside person, they don't know anything about you, they don't know how you are mentally really. They can ask you questions and get like a good perspective, but no one really knows you like your best friends or like your mum or dad or brother or sister or someone who's really close to you in your life.
But even just like little things that your friends know, like the smallest thing that could cheer you up. Like
that's what it's all about.
Yeah, like
in this situation.
One of my friends is just like, oh, let's go to Starbucks. Like it's just like the smallest thing, but like them going out their way just to like, it's nice. Like someone sitting opposite you in a chair saying, tell me how you feel. It's not going to help because I don't want to tell you. So what's the point?
Yeah. So what would you say is like the most important thing for someone maybe in this situation? What like piece of advice would you give them? That's the most important thing. Or maybe if they're watching it in a few months, like touch wood, that doesn't happen to them. But if it did happen to them, then what kind of advice would you think is the most important thing?
I would say, I mean, if you have siblings, really just like talk to them about everything, for sure. Again, as I said earlier, I think like a great like your closest friends as a support system is like the thing that's helped me the most. You and that has helped me the most, and that's my main advice. I would say do what you can do, and if you don't feel like you can get up and say go to like it helps you, so that's good. But if you can't get up and go to the gym and do all these things every day, then don't feel bad, because personally I can't. Like there's some days where like I just can't get up early and like go out, and because like I used to go to the gym and I used to swim, and I've kind of lost like my motivation for the gym through this. I really have.
Yeah.
But I want to be mainly with the swim. Like I want to be able to do that again. But I think that will happen over time. But yeah, I think like a good piece of advice is just do what you want to do. Don't if someone, even if it's someone in your family, if they're telling you right, you've got to do this, go to work, do this. Like doesn't matter.
No.
It doesn't matter. You can earn money anytime. Money comes back. Time with the person you're going to lose doesn't.
For sure.
So do exactly what you want to do. And if people disagree about it, let them. Like it makes no difference to your life. It really doesn't.
Yeah, that's very true. Everyone's got their own way of handling situations, especially a situation like this. So you kind of got to just realise what works for you. Obviously, it's always, everyone needs to talk to someone, whoever that may be, or however many people that may be. Maybe it's just 1-2 person, maybe it's a lot of different people, however you kind of want to like spread your message. But just think about like what's the most important thing for you in this moment. And obviously we spoke quite a lot about like planning ahead. I think that's
maybe
quite
just,
important.
Like, working on something.
Yeah, think about like your future self, and as difficult as it may be, like what does the future of you like really desire, and if you can, just try do a bit of like work on whatever that area, maybe like business or like the gym for me, if you want to like be just something to kind of like take your mind somewhat off things. And I think that's always important. Is there anything else you want to add really? Any more
Not really.
advice?
I mean, I think obviously I don't think on your channel, because it is like self-improvement, but for me, like I enjoy fitness, but not to like the same extent. Like you have a passion for it, where I like enjoy it for leisure. I do. But like something that has helped me, I mean, I'm very, very into travel, so like just like researching the places you want to go and what you want to do in the future. Like in the future, I do want to go off volunteering in places. Like I don't know, like I want to go to South Sudan and Nigeria, places like that. Yeah. To help people less fortunate, like working towards just one thing. Yeah. Even if it's something that might not happen in 2-3 years, you don't know. Yeah. But just like the smallest thing that you can just distract yourself by. Yeah. That will benefit you in the future. I would say that's like a good piece of advice.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, like life, whatever happens to you in life, life will go on. So you got to always remember that, and try your best to kind of somewhat get on with it, and think about your future self too in everything you do. So yeah, that's pretty much our video. I think we've covered everything that's kind of gone on, and how we think, and our thoughts and our actions. So hopefully, if there's anyone who's in a similar situation to this now, or
I really hope not.
obviously, yeah, we really hope not. It's horrible. It's one of the worst situations you could go through, or if they happen to go through this in the future, because obviously at some point we will all lose parents and loved ones, and like deal with at least some type of grief. So hopefully you've fortunately not really experienced any so far, but maybe this video will help you somewhat when the time does come. And if anyone's had a similar experience to us, then I'd be really grateful in the comments if you let me know how you kind of dealt with it and how it was for you.
It's a process for us. Like, it's going on. It's not something that we've gone through. Like, it's not. We're in the process of it. So, if anyone has any advice, or has been through anything similar, then
we're still learning.
We don't know what's going to happen. We don't. But I would say we're both doing the best
of the situation.
I don't think we could do any better.
No,
it's not something that where we're like, oh, we're doing amazing. But I don't think we could be doing any better than we are.
Yeah, I'm very proud of like how you've handled it and how I've handled myself, and everyone really involved. I think we've done the best job we possibly can, and
for sure,
we've kind of coping with what's going on, and just trying to carry on with life and think about our future too. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We appreciate if you could leave any feedback, and if you want to see us maybe do a video together sometime, covering anything, maybe something more on travel, or if you want us to go into this situation a bit more detail, then we'd be happy to do so. If you could like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.